Hey, everybody, welcome to the Executive Insights podcast, where we talk with business advisors, fractional executives, and operators who help leaders grow with clarity in the world that's moving fast. I'm your host, Dallion Broomfield. Today, I'm joined with Rusty Fooling, the founder and CEO of Fooling Management and Accounting. Rusty and his team have been helping owners make sense of their numbers, grow profits, and gain peace of mind since 2000. Rusty, thanks for being here.
Hey, Dallin, good to see you. Yeah, thanks for having me on.
So take us back to the beginning. What pushed you to start Fooling Management and Accounting back in 2000?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I probably started before that, but I grew up in a household of entrepreneurs. My dad was an electrician and my mom a house cleaner. So I learned how to dig ditches and clean toilets early in my life. But I think it was about 1999. I was working for a CPA firm, and I was working way too many hours. And I know you and I have talked about those jobs that just take you kind of beyond the breaking point sometimes. And I actually ended up in the hospital for a couple of days, and just this horrible acid reflux that the doctor said, if you keep this up, esophageal cancer may be in your future. And it was just that wake up call, Dallin, that I just thought, oh my goodness, something's got to change. And right after that hospital stay, a colleague of mine said, I can't believe you haven't started your own business. And it was that affirmation of a friend at the right time that really helped me step out and start a little business with three clients. And one of those little clients are one of our biggest clients today, almost 26 years later.
Wow, congratulations on that. So you watched their growth over
Yes,
time. I bet that's
absolutely.
really rewarding.
Yeah.
Sure. So you are a continual learner. You talked about you grew up in an entrepreneurial
Yeah.
houseship, and you've got Entre Leadership, Path for Growth,
Yeah.
Kaufman International Boardroom. What's one leadership lesson, whether from growing up at home or these programs that you have picked up and you still use weekly?
Yeah. Well, I was just reminded in a talk this weekend about the current younger generation that's kind of in the workforce now. And I think the comment was, this is the loneliest, uh, workforce, loneliest people group. And I think as you apply that to business leadership and thinking about some of those groups that, yeah, I've been blessed to be part of, is it's don't do business alone and make sure you're investing in relationships with others. Sometimes you're the mentee and sometimes you're the mentor, but just make sure you have others around you that can speak into you. Man, that's just so valuable.
Yeah. So, well, you recently posted something similar to that, where this hasn't been the easiest decade to start a business with COVID,
Yeah.
geopolitical conflict, and now AI. What do you think is changing most and how business owners need to think about cash and decision making right now?
Yeah, yeah. I think any season of business, there's changes, but especially when you're thinking about cash and some of that. Sometimes it's, if we do business as usual, that may be a problem in today's environment. We have to always be looking at new ways to do things. I think there's balance and consistency, and also adopting new innovation. And so I think just that being aware, continually studying where do I need to improve. Once we get once we get complacent, that can be an issue.
Yeah, that's good. So, well, a lot of advisors struggle to be relatable without
Mm,
dumbing things down, right?
yeah.
So when you're talking to business owners who stressed, busy, maybe embarrassed about their numbers, how do you communicate in a way that builds trust?
Mm. Yeah, so some of that's listening, learning to listen. One of the things that we did years ago is we started using the DISC assessment often when we're bringing on new clients, where we find out what their communication style is. And so if it's somebody that wants you to be quick and be gone, that means you're probably going to want to communicate in bullet points. Boom, boom, boom. If it's somebody that's very relational, maybe it's talking about the kids and the family and building up to the details. And so part of that is just finding ways to connect. Empathy is always a good one, but going back to be an active and engaged listener.
Yeah, listening to what their problem is for sure. Well, what do you think a common misconception you see around profit versus cash that'll get owners in trouble?
Yeah, yeah. It's We had a business owner years ago. They came to us and they said, "Hey, we keep bouncing checks when people were using checks back in the day. Our accounts all constantly overdrawn, and our QuickBooks doesn't show that, you know." And part of that is just understanding the numbers. We often talk about in our business helping business owners get clarity, grow profits, and gain peace of mind. And part of it's just that clarity, that understanding what's the difference between net profit in cash in the bank, and one's on a balance sheet, one's on a profit and loss statement, and understanding those. And so I would say if a business owner, is confused by that, bring somebody in that can at least give some guidance or study up and figure out what those mean. But yeah, that can often be a misconception. Is I did really well last year in business. If you haven't collected the cash, your business may not be as healthy as you think.
Yeah, or I got money in the bank, so things are
Mm,
good. Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
yes, yes,
Tell
yes.
us about Fulling Management. What do you do and who do you serve?
Yeah. Yeah, so our goal is really to provide fractional CFO and accounting services for small and mid-sized businesses around the U.S. And so we literally serve clients in I think about 25 states as of this recording. And again, our purpose or really our mission is to help business leaders get clarity, grow profits, and gain peace of mind. And what's really fun is engaging with clients, in those areas. And I was just with a new client coming on board just a few minutes ago, and it was so neat just to hear her sharing her vision for her company, but she doesn't know how to use the numbers to get there. And so part of our job is to help make sense of the numbers so they can say, here's how much cash I'm going to have available to do this thing, or here's what here's how I can use these to grow my business.
Right. And so you help build like a roadmap,
Yes.
get them from, hey, we just started to this is where what our end goal is.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's such an important the end goal. When you ask somebody, "What's your finish line look like? What is what's the end goal?" and you get a blank stare, I'm just trying to survive. I remember when somebody asked me that when I was starting out, I'm like, "Oh, I'm just trying to get this business up and going. I have no idea what the end goal is." But I think the closer I get to that end goal, I think that there's just so much value. If you don't have a target, you're going to miss it every time because there's nothing out there that you're heading to. So it's real important to get that clarity around your vision.
Yeah. Yeah. When you're starting out, you're so busy, you're wearing so many hats, you ain't thinking about end. You're just maybe the end of the day. That's
Right,
what
right,
you're thinking.
right. Yes, yeah, that may be the end. Yeah.
So walk me through your easy to get started process. What are you looking for in the first 30 minutes that tells
Yeah.
you, yeah, we can help you?
Yeah. Yeah. I think it was about year, boy, 7 or 8. We had brought on the biggest client we'd ever brought on before. It doubled our business overnight. And I was out shopping for a new truck and all the things that come with all this excitement. And Dallin, within 6 months, we lost that client. I don't know that we'd ever lost a client up to that point. And the problem was they were way too big. They were out of our scope, out of what we normally would do. And so that really helped us go back and define who is our ideal client and what's the process. And so when you talk about kind of that first due diligence part, it is understanding the client. And what we look for is high integrity individuals, people who see value in outsourcing, people that are well respected. And we do a lot of due diligence around the leader before we even look at their company.
Right. So do you think now, because I've had a similar thing happen to me before, but do you think now if you could go back, would you turn that client down?
Great question. So, interesting enough, I would say probably 12 to 13 years after that crazy debacle, I ran into that CEO at the gym, and he said, "Hey, our CFO is going to be leaving. Would you guys be interested in serving us in that capacity?" And my immediate answer was no, because they're still not a good fit. They're way too big for what
Yeah.
we do.
Yeah.
And I could have easily said yes, and 6 months later we would have lost them as a client again. But having that clarity around who is your ideal client, who do you serve best, that has really solved a lot of problems that could have happened, and really serve the business owner well if you say no. And maybe sometimes we can even point them to somebody that's going to serve them better.
Yeah. Yeah. So a theme that I noticed from your client stories was peace of mind and having a partner and even functioning like a third party CFO. What does peace of mind look like in measurable terms?
Yeah, yeah. A number of years ago, we had a client that sold managed services, so IT services and phone systems, and they were losing money on their phone systems that they didn't realize that. And so one of the things we were able to do is to just help give some clarity there. And so they sold off the unprofitable piece and focused on what they did best. And their business really began to grow and they did well. And one of the comments that business leader said, he goes, "You help me sleep at night." Boy, what better peace of mind is when you can sleep at night. And so to me, those comments like that, we jokingly thought, hey, we could have a tagline that says, "We put you to sleep," but that may not be the best, tagline for business owners. But anyway, the sleep at night comment, man, that's where peace of mind is really lived out.
Yeah, definitely. That is definitely measurable for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, yes.
Let's talk about your growth for a minute. How do you balance working on your own business growth while still serving clients at a high level?
Yeah. Yeah, 3 or 4 years ago, we were introduced to the EOS system. It's a really good system that talks about having an integrator in your business and a visionary, if I kind of simplify the process down. And one of the things that helped us identify is I am not a good integrator. And sometimes that you can be the bottleneck of your company when you're trying to do everything. And so what was really neat is we were able to elevate one of our internal team members to the COO, the Chief Operating Officer role, and really let them integrate, do the day-to-day operations and manage that well. And it really leveraged me into more of that visionary piece. And so I get to spend time on driving what future growth, future direction. And so to answer your question, I think sometimes if we're doing it all, we're going to cap the business. But surrounding ourselves with people that are better than us, maybe in some areas, those can be the areas that we've seen the most growth. And I'll say that probably is the most fulfilling for me when I get to lean into that purpose that I was made for.
Yeah, that's good. That's brilliant. And that's actually a line from Alex Hormozy. Do you know who Alex
Yes.
Hormozy
Oh,
is?
sure.
Yeah, he
Yes.
talks about like hire people that are smarter than you. Like,
Yes. Yeah.
there's certain things that people are better at than you, and that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Hire those people to do those jobs.
That's right.
So, what do you think's been the most effective strategies or channels for attracting new clients and growing your business?
Yeah. There was a leader that talked about serving before selling a few years back, and it was such a good lesson on giving before getting. And so often we find some of our best clients, our longest term clients, those kind of things, is when we've been able to serve them ahead of time. So it could be participating in maybe a roundtable group where you're just a participant, not leading it, but just helping lean into others, and sharing challenges in your own business. So I think it's relational versus transactional is kind of the old term there, but that's where we've seen the most growth, the most sustainability is that serving before selling.
Serving before. So, would you say like BNI groups and stuff like
Yeah, I'd
that?
probably go a little deeper than that. Even it'd be almost more like almost having an advisory board for your business. So I'm not passing my business card to you as much as I'm saying, "Hey, Dallin, what's the biggest win for this last couple of weeks, and what's the biggest challenge you're facing that you need input from the others around this table?" And so when you're diving in and helping that business leader, just as another participant and not I'm in charge of this thing. There's just something valuable that can come out of that.
Right. So, what do you think the biggest challenge around marketing or sales has been through that?
Yeah, if I back up 20, 25, 26 years ago, it was interesting. I had a MBA group of students that was assigned to me, and I get to give them one project, and their project was to go out and secure a new client. for us. And they went around working their networks, and they came back at the end of the semester and said nobody wants to outsource their accounting and CFO services. And I thought, here, I just started this business and nobody wants our services. Like, oh, this isn't good. So sometimes it's clear, it's funny, all these years later, people are like, oh, you're not outsourcing that? Why aren't you outsourcing that? And so outsourcing, I think, was one of the things. Sometimes it's just word of mouth. It's knowing, when the need is there. It's awareness. A lot of the things that I think are common, with any industry. But I would say sometimes it's understanding too. Well, what could somebody like that do for me and help me grow my business?
Right. And so those types of talks never come up during like tax year stuff like that when you're working with businesses. Just curiosity.
As as far as I need this
Yeah,
help.
like
Yeah,
I need fractional CFOs. I don't I have money in the bank, but I don't, I have
yeah.
no net profit, like, stuff like that.
Yes. Yeah, it's funny. Sometimes it's the tax preparers. So we do all the CFO, the accounting work, preparing for the tax person. And then the CPAs around the country that we work with, often they'll refer clients to us because they're like, hey, this client really needs, the day-to-day, the strategy. And so, yes, those do come up, a lot of times. Could be with a business broker. Maybe you're thinking about selling your business. And we had a business broker I talked to this week that is like, oh, the financial reports were so terrible, nobody would want to buy this, and because they need to be accurate and cleaned up, and there's ways to build value, and I think so many times people don't realize that their company as an asset. It's something they could sell down the road. How do you continue to grow value and not just pull dollars out?
Right. Yeah. Well, talking about the asset, when you're looking at a business as an asset, what do you think most owners underestimate about what they're building?
Yeah, well, I think what they're building is a good example. I had a business coach a number of years ago that I was working with, and he said, you know what, when you're done with your business, you're just going to close the doors and walk out, and you really don't have anything to sell. And I thought, oh my goodness, I don't have an asset I'm building. Well, he was totally wrong. That is not the correct thing. There is an asset, and so it's I think it's that old mindset of, yeah, if you don't have something tangible that you can sell it down the road. So I think that a lot of times it is, this is an income generator. I'm just going to pull money out and there's nothing left. Well, boy, if you sold that income generator to somebody else, that could be a nice benefit for you and for the buyer. And so keeping the end in mind, I think that's just so valuable, and that's going to help you build that asset. So not only are you going to have money throughout the lifetime that you own the business, you're also going to have something in the end that you can sell and make multiples at that point, and make
Right.
multiple impact. So
Yeah. Well, you have multiple ways to help bookkeeping, accounting, the CFO outsourcing, coaching, assessments.
yeah.
Do you ever feel like your best fit offer isn't the one the prospect immediately understands?
Mhm. Yeah, so we always lead with the CFO piece because that's where we see the biggest value. Sometimes people will say, "Hey, we just need bookkeeping, we just need payroll processing." It's interesting sometimes when you lean into that. Tell me more about that. Well, we don't have cash flow to pay our payroll, and all of a sudden, it's not a payroll issue; it's a cash flow issue. And so going back to that listening and understanding the need, that's the critical piece. So yes, I think you're exactly right. Sometimes people will ask for something when really they need this other thing that's just a symptom of the bigger issue.
Yeah. So what kind of bottlenecks are you experiencing now around like pipeline outreach or lead conversion for yourself?
Yeah, I'd say the biggest bottleneck we're experiencing right now is finding uh, team members, additional team members, fast enough to meet the needs of new opportunities coming in the door. And so it's probably more of attention, recruitment. That's probably the bottleneck at this, as of today, or even I would say over the last couple of years. And we're not alone in that in our industry. That's something that finding ways to better connect people. That'll be good team members and serve clients well. I'd say that's the biggest bottleneck right now.
Okay. So what's the number one growth priority for you
Hmm.
this year?
Well, adding team members, adding the right team members. I think the other thing too, when we actually bring in all of our team members once a year. So we're virtual, so we bring all of our team members into the Kansas City area once a year, and we do a 3-day offsite event. And the second day of that is our strategy, our vision day that we talk about what's the next 3 years look like. And so part of that is, when we talk about vision, we're talking about number of team members, we need to add these team members to serve this number of clients, to drive this amount of revenue. But one of the other things we do is we also drive, or one of our goals is driving what we call raving fan shout outs. So we want to make sure we're just not growing just for growth, but we want to make sure we're making impact, so much so that those clients are giving raving fan feedback. And we track that on a regular basis. And it's so amazing to go back and look at, we'll actually set benchmarks. Hey, we want to have this many this year. And so watching those grow and figuring out a way, how can we serve them even better, so that we're getting non-solicited feedback like that.
Right, right. That's brilliant. Well, for someone that's starting a business today, what's one thing you wish they knew earlier, especially about building something that lasts?
Yeah. Yeah, there's some great books out there, so don't stop reading once you're out of school. So, Built to Last is one. When you'd mentioned that, I go back to don't do it alone. It's so easy to just think I've got to do all this myself, but invest in growth. Make sure you're growing personally. So we talk about our core values, and our very first core value is growth, personal and professional. So say growth, and then don't do it alone would be two top ones.
Brilliant. I want to get onto the missional part where we talked about in our interview
Sure.
call.
Yeah.
Get your feedback on this. Okay. So what does it look like to be missional in practice? Not
Hmm.
just as a belief, but how you
Yep.
lead, serve clients, and make decisions.
Yeah. 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 When I started out, probably just a year or two in, I really wanted to promote my faith in the business. And so I was in a roundtable group, as I described before, and I shared, hey, I'd like to put some faith statement or something on my website, and I remember another business owner in that group saying, if you did that, I would never do business with you. And I thought, what? Man, that was hurtful. And but as I kind of stepped back and licked my wounds a little bit, I thought, well, man, maybe he's right. Maybe we need to do it before we say it. And so we spent a number of years, serving and doing things that we felt like that were leading to being able to say, hey, here's what we're all about. And so those might look like serving our community, could be serving at the homeless shelter, could be doing some mission trips, different things like that to help others. A few years back, we took our core values and kind of reshaped them, kind of reworded them a little bit. And the acronym those spell out is the word GRACE, GRACE. And so growth is the first one. R is represent the client. A is accountability. C is champion attitude. And E is eternal impact. We want to make an impact on every client we work with, every team member we work with. That goes beyond the numbers. That could literally have a generational impact for them.
Yeah, absolutely it could. Right. That's brilliant. I love it. So, where should listeners go to learn more about Fulling Management and Accounting, and what's the best next steps if they want help?
Yeah, yeah, love that. So we have a website, Fulling, mgmt.com. The other fun connection would just be to go to my name, rustyfulling.com. And on there, I've collected a bunch of leadership stories, leadership lessons that I've been learning along the way. and still adding to that. And so those are a couple, and always Rusty Fulling on LinkedIn would be a third way. But yeah, love to connect. Sometimes it's just bouncing ideas off each other. But yeah, if I can be of help, love to connect.
Great. That's nice. I'm going to go check out Fulling your
Rusty
personal
Fulling,
website.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's been a lot of fun. It is a lot of fun. There's some great stories from hospital stays to trips to Ethiopia and Kenya and being a grandparent and anyway, just all kinds of fun. But they're leadership lessons that I've been learning, and so yeah, well, yeah, I'll look forward to seeing you out there. So
Yeah. All right. Rusty, this has been awesome. Thanks for sharing your story and your perspective. If you're anybody listening and you want more conversations like this, subscribe to the Executive Insights podcast. Rusty, again, thank you for showing up.
hey, thanks, Dallin. Have a great day.
All right.